We initiate the forensic analysis of the most painful betrayal in the human experience, the biological sabotage of the child by the parent. You must understand that your parents do not want you to be rich. They want you to be safe. In the prehistoric coding of the human brain, safe is synonymous with invisible. To the reptilian brain of your mother and father, the nail that sticks out gets hammered, the bird that flies too high gets eaten by the hawk, and the tribesman who challenges the chief gets exiled to die in the cold. Therefore, when you display ambition, risk tolerance, or a desire for unreasonable wealth, you trigger a deep evolutionary terror in their nervous system. They are not crushing your dreams because they hate you. They are crushing your dreams because their amygdala equates greatness, death. This is genetic slavery. They are attempting to shackle you to the mean. They want you to be normal, but you must look at the math of normal. The normal man is in debt. The normal man hates his job. The normal man has a BMI of 28. The normal man divorces at 50 and dies with less than $10,000 in the bank. When your parents beg you to be normal, they are begging you to be poor. They are projecting their own survival strategies that worked for a world that no longer exists, onto a reality that rewards the outlier. They are programming you with the software of the serf. Keep your head down, do not offend the master, take the steady paycheck, and be grateful for the scraps. We must then analyze the crab bucket mechanism within the family unit. The family is a homeostatic system. It seeks stability. If everyone is earning $50,000 and complaining about the government, there is harmony. There is a shared vibration of victimhood. The moment you decide to earn $5 million and take responsibility for your reality, you break the harmony. You become a mirror of mediocrity. Your success forces your parents and siblings to confront their own lack of courage. If you succeed, it proves that they could have succeeded too, but they were too afraid to try. This realization is psychologically devastating. To protect their own egos from this trauma, they must subconsciously sabotage you. They will use shame weapons. Who do you think you are? Don't get too big for your britches. Rich people are greedy. They cloak this sabotage in the language of love. We just don't want you to be disappointed. This is a lie. They don't want themselves to be disappointed by the reflection of what they failed to become. You must realize that breaking the cycle of poverty requires breaking the emotional umbilical cord. You cannot ascend if you are weighed down by the guilt of leaving them behind. The architect accepts that he will be the black sheep. He understands that in a family of sheep, the wolf is always the villain until the wolf brings home the meat. Let us dig deeper into the pension plan pathology. Many parents view their children not as sovereign individuals, but as insurance policies. They invest resources, food, shelter, school, with the implicit contract that the child will care for them in their decline. This contract requires the child to remain geographically close and economically stable, but not too independent. If the child becomes a global sovereign, they might move away. They might outgrow the need for the parents. This triggers the abandonment neurosis. So the parents push for the local job. They push for the steady trade. They actively discourage the global empire because the empire takes the child away from the village. This is biological selfishness disguised as family values. The architect creates a genealogical break. You must love your parents enough to defy them. You must understand that the greatest honor you can give your lineage is not obedience, Tari. If you stay poor to make them feel comfortable, you are dishonoring the thousands of ancestors who fought for your existence. You are wasting the genetic capital. The only way to truly save your family is to become so powerful that you can pull them up out of the mud, even if they kick and scream the entire way up. You do not ask for permission to be the king. You build the castle and let them live in the guest house. We must also confront the scarcity trauma transmission. Your parents likely lived through harder times or were raised by people who did. They carry epigenetic scarcity. Their brains are wired to hoard, to fear loss, and to view money as a finite resource. When you talk about investing, scaling, or leveraging debt, their nervous system registers danger. They try to infect you with this virus. Save your pennies. Money doesn't grow on trees. These are poverty incantations. If you repeat them, you wire your brain to look for lack instead of abundance. The architect performs an exorcism of the mind. You must ruthlessly delete every phrase, every belief, and every habit your parents taught you about money. You must recognize that their advice is valid for surviving poverty, but fatal for creating wealth. You cannot use the map of the victim to find the treasure of the victor. You must forgive them for their ignorance, but you must not adopt it. You treat their financial advice this with the same skepticism you would treat medical advice from a medieval barber. They mean well, but their tools are outdated and their understanding is flawed. Let us analyze the validation trap. As a child, your survival depended on the approval of these two giants. If they frowned, you died, metaphorically. This neural pathway remains active in adulthood. You seek the nod of approval. You want dad to say, "I'm proud of you." The trap is that they will only give you the nod if you follow their script. If you become an artist, an entrepreneur, or a disruptor, they will withhold the validation to force you back into line. The soft man spends his entire life chasing this phantom approval, ending up as a miserable dentist or a depressed accountant. The architect kills the boy who needs the nod. You must reach a point of validation sovereignty. You look in the mirror and approve of yourself. You realize that your parents are just people, flawed, scared, aging primates who are making it up as they go along. They are not gods. Their opinion is not gospel. It is just feedback from a nervous system conditioned by fear. When you stop needing them to be proud of you, you become free to do the things that will actually make them proud in the long run, or at least make them respect you. Success is the only argument that wins. Finally, we arrive at the genetic duty of the mutant. Evolution relies on the mutant, the organism that does something different, that explores the new territory, that tries the new food. This is the engine of progress. In your family, you are the mutant. You are the anomaly. This is why you feel misunderstood. This is why you don't fit in at Thanksgiving dinner. This is not a defect. It is a design feature. Nature has produced you to break the chain of mediocrity. Your parents want you to be the same as them because biology desires repetition, but the universe desires expansion. You are the agent of expansion. The friction you feel with your family is the heat of the rocket leaving the atmosphere. It is necessary. Do not try to cool it down. Do not try to fit in with people who are committed to a smaller life. You must accept the loneliness of the pioneer. You are leaving the genetic slum to build a genetic skyscraper. They will hate you for leaving, then they will mock you for trying, then they will ask you for a loan. This is the cycle. Accept it. Be the normal breaker. Be the rich anomaly. Because being the normal poor child is not love. It is a slow suicide pact. Break the pact. Save the bloodline. We initiate phase 2 of the genetic emancipation protocol, which is the operational severance. Phase 1 was the diagnosis of the sabotage. Phase 2 is the surgical procedure to remove the parasite of learned helplessness from your psyche. We must start by implementing the Jungian patricide. This is not a physical act, it is a psychological necessity. Carl Jung and Freud understood that for the son to become the king, the father, as the authority figure, must metaphorically die. As long as you are seeking the permission, the safety, or the worldview of your parents, you remain a prince at best and a subject at worst. You must psychologically orphan yourself. You must look at the world and realize, no one is coming to save me. No one has the map. My parents are just older children. This realization is terrifying because it removes the safety net, but it is also the birth of true agency. When you accept that you are an orphan in the universe, you enter the death ground. Sun Tzu taught that soldiers fight hardest when they have no way home. You must burn the mental bridge back to your parents' safety. You must operate as if failure means starvation. This urgency is the fuel of the architect. We must then execute the geographical arbitrage of the soul. You cannot grow a mighty oak tree in a flower pot, and you cannot build an empire in your childhood bedroom. The environment is triggered by anchors. Every time you walk into your parents' house, your brain reverts to the neural pathways of a 12-year-old. You feel smaller. You become more passive. Your voice raises an octave. To break this, you must physically remove yourself from the field of influence. You need distance. The architect moves to a new city, a new country, a new time zone. This is not running away. This is strategic relocation. By placing an ocean between you and your genetic programmers, you disrupt the feedback loop of mediocrity. You force your brain to adapt to a new reality where you are the authority. You create a vacuum of identity, which you can then fill with your own values, not the inherited fears of your lineage. The further you are from the source of the normalcy signal, the easier it is to broadcast your own signal. We must dig deeper into the information firewall. The soft man shares his dreams with his parents, hoping for encouragement. He says, "I'm going to start a business." And they say, "That sounds risky. What about your pension?" This poisons the dream. The architect practices strategic silence. You put your parents on a need-to-know basis. You do not tell them about your risks. You do not tell them about your investments. You do not tell them about your wins until the check has cleared and the money is in the vault. You treat your life like a classified operation. Why? Because you are protecting them from their own anxiety and you are protecting yourself from their doubt. If you tell a poverty-minded person about a high-risk maneuver, they will project their fear drawn to you. That fear is a psychic pathogen. It creates hesitation. And in business, hesitation is death. You present them with results, never plans. When you show up in the Ferrari, the argument is over. Until then, you work in the dark. We must also confront the reparenting protocol. Since your parents programmed you for survival, poverty, rather than conquest, wealth, you must override their code. You must become your own father. When you feel lazy, you do not look for your mom to comfort you. You channel the internal patriarch who tells you to get up and work. You must curate a virtual council of fathers. You choose mentors, living or dead, who represent the archetype of the king. You read their biographies. You listen to their voices. You let Marcus Aurelius, Napoleon, or a modern titan occupy the mental real estate that your biological father used to hold. You ask, what would they do? This is mimetic engineering. You are voluntarily infecting your brain with the memes of greatness to displace the memes of mediocrity. You are choosing your spiritual lineage to override your biological lineage. Getty Images. Let us analyze the economic power reversal. The ultimate cure for genetic slavery is to buy the plantation. The dynamic between parent and child is a power dynamic based on resource dependency. As long as you need their money or their safety net, you are the submissive. The architect flips the script by becoming the family patron. Your goal is to become so wealthy that you can retire your parents. This is not just an act of charity, it is an act of dominance. When you pay their bills, you set the frame. You are no longer the child, you are the head of the household. This shifts the energy. They can no longer criticize your risky choices because those choices are paying for their mortgage. This is the only way to earn the respect of a poverty mindset parent. They respect provision. When you become the provider, you silence the critic. You turn the judge into the dependent. This is the ultimate victory, to kill the parent and birth the grateful ancestor. We must then address the guilt deletion sequence. Your parents have installed guilt buttons in your psyche. You don't call enough. You work too hard. You've changed. These buttons are control mechanisms. They are designed to pull you back into the crab bucket. The architect disables the buttons. You must realize that you have changed is a compliment. It means you are evolving. The caterpillar effectively dies to become the butterfly. To the other caterpillars, the butterfly looks like a traitor who abandoned the leaf. To the butterfly, the leaf is a prison. You must accept that your growth will be interpreted as abandonment by those who refuse to grow. You must accept being the villain in their story so you can be the hero in yours. You cannot save a drowning man if he drags you down with him. You must get into the lifeboat first, row to strength, and then throw the rope. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Replace guilt with duty. Your duty is to the potential, not the past. Finally, we arrive at the founder's mentality. You must stop viewing yourself as a descendant and start viewing yourself as an ancestor. The chain of poverty stops with you. The chain of abuse stops with you. The chain of being normal stops with you. You are the 0 point. You are the founder of the new dynasty. This requires a level of ruthless love. You love your future children enough to be misunderstood by your current parents. You love your bloodline enough to endure the loneliness of the ascent. You are building a new genetic capital account from scratch. This is a lonely road, but it is the only road that leads to sovereignty. When you look back at your parents, do not look with anger. Look with compassion. They were victims of their own programming. They did the best they could with the limited software they had. Forgive them for being normal, but do not emulate them. Honor them by exceeding them. Honor them by doing what they were too afraid to do. Be the monster they fear, so you can be the savior they need.